Yes, I hope your Thanksgiving was wonderful. You got to relax, enjoy yourself. I got to relax way more than I intended to. Uh, my wife, they had a department potluck right before the break, like on Thursday, where they all brought like chili and different stuff like that. And her, she's got a teacher that's right in the next room over there next to her, and she said, "Hey, what are you bringing Thursday?" He says, "Oh, I ain't eating nothing at that thing." He's an old grumpy guy anyway. It's kind of funny. He says, "I'm not bringing anything to that. I don't eat things other people make, especially right for the break. I ain't going to get sick right for the break." She laughed at him, and then she ate there. And then Friday she was feeling sick, and then Saturday she was down sick and gave it to me, and it was COVID. She caught COVID at her department luncheon, and so I was down for days. She was down for days. We had Thanksgiving alone. We was going to go with some family, but they were still scared that we still had COVID because we should have been free from being contagious by Thanksgiving, but we waited another day. Our family came over on Friday and we had a big turkey and all this stuff. But Thursday, my wife and I spent it by ourselves having frozen pizza for Thanksgiving. But we did put some turkey pepperonis on the frozen pizza, so that way at least. So yeah, our most of our Thanksgiving break was just the two of us isolated in our house from Friday evening. Well, we did go to the movies Friday, and but it was just the two of us. And then we stayed in bed all weekend because it felt like a really bad flu. This COVID was beating us up. Felt like bad flu. Didn't get out of Monday. I got out of bed and sat in the couch and watched some TV. But we were by ourselves from Saturday till all the way through Thursday. So we really had a little 3 day party weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, spending time with other folks. But it was just like, oh, COVID. And I can't smell things real well. I've had COVID one other time and it didn't affect my smell. This time it's like the turkey's cooking and I'm like, I don't smell the turkey cooking. It was kind of sad, but at least it didn't affect my taste. I could still taste everything okay. So that was, it might have been muted just a little bit. Maybe I'd get 100% of the flavor, but I got 90% of the flavor, I'm sure, because I know what I should have tasted like. Gosh, but yeah, that made it an interesting break. But oh well. Jumping into December, we're having a big party at our house this Saturday with our Sunday school class. So we got about 30 or 40 people coming over. We've been decorating, got our tree up and got a bunch of decorations up, all that kind of good stuff. But anyway, let's see. I don't think our lesson's terribly long. I looked at it this weekend, trying to get a jump start on the week because we don't have much time. So, let's see. So we have this week, we have next week, and then finals week. And this is a class that you can exempt. You don't have to take the final if you haven't had more than 4 absences, no more than 4 absences in advisory, grade of 75%, no missing assignments, all that usual stuff. So you should not have to take the final in here as long as you're happy with your grade. You don't have to. So that's the nice thing. So basically, we'll just have 2 weeks, and then we'll meet that Monday of finals week because the finals are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll meet, but we won't have anything. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, I will not be here next Monday. I'm going to be actually in California. My daughter and I have a business thing that she's buying a business, and I'm going to be like a small investor with her. And so we have a meeting in California to go to next Monday. So I won't be here. I will have a video for you about next week's assignment, which is going to be, I don't even think, yeah, I will have some kind of lesson, but it'll be something pretty short. But I'll have a video about it. So look for that for next week. So, all right, let's get our screen put up here. Taking a look at our grade screen way down here. 3.04. That's where we have this week. Next week, it says discussion based assessment. Obviously, we won't be having a discussion with me not being here, but we will have something. I will have a video for you for next week. But so we only have just 2 assignments left, APIs and IDEs this week. Let's take a look at it. Loading slow. Hey, it's better off than being at West. West doesn't have any power this morning. I saw an email going out. Teachers are teaching in the dark. It's like, all the lights are off. All kinds of craziness. All right, all about API. So lots of acronyms in computers. If you want to go see a movie, you might start by looking up the show times first, by Googling, by asking Siri or Alexa. or your favorite intelligent personal assistant, or by using a movie ticket app. That's what I do. I have an app there. So no matter how you get the information, you're mostly likely using an API to do it. See what API stands for? Application Program Interface. It's a way you interface with some kind of program. It's a set of routines, protocols, and tools for building software and applications. So an API, Application Program Interface. In programming, APIs allow systems to talk to each other, share information. Imagine that all the theater's data is housed on a server, like showtimes, the ratings of the movie, the ticket prices, etc. To access it, you need an API. Think of it like a digital messenger. When you search for a specific showtime, an API will locate that data on the theater server and send it back to you. APIs allow developers to access certain data so they don't have to populate it themselves, which is a huge job. This lets developers easily build more functionality into the apps they create. So getting connected with APIs. So there's data, the information or software served on a server, API that provides apps with access to this data. So it's kind of go between. You have the developer over here that builds the apps using the data that's on the server. We have an app that runs using the data from the APIs, and then the end user enjoys using an app powered by this data. So when you pull up your app, you got the app that the developers built that uses its API to access information that is stored on the server. Using APIs. So you want to use an API in your program. Now what? Hint, start with the API documentation, which is basically a cheat sheet from all the information you need to use the API. So let's click on that. It's a reference manual that contains information about the functions, the classes, the return types, the arguments, and more that's supported by tutorials and examples. So in fact, there's even a Python API right here. We have it, we use it all the time that we click on it. And when we click on that, it tells us all the different functions and other stuff that we can access in Python, the built-in functions, the math module, the turtle graphics, random module. So we've used our API a lot. We just didn't really know what it stood for before, what its purpose was. It's basically a cheat sheet. So in fact, there's a Python API. Now's a good time to point out that the term API gets thrown around a lot in programming. It can be confusing. Let's break down the different meanings. So here's 3 ways to API. Like a device API. Like, does Showtimes.com have an API? What it means, does Showtimes have a protocol that allows my app to talk to it and access the data? API documentation, how it's used. Let's refer to Showtime.com's API as we build our app. So what that means is let's refer to the API documentation that Showtimes.com provided. That way our app will be able to communicate with their device API. And then the programming language API. Check the Python API for the correct syntax. That means refer to the documentation that describes how to use Python, including the function, classes, return types, and more. All right, let's look at this guided activity. Okay, hashtag program to locate a movie theater in Miami. Define Maine. So here's a zip code list. Contains 4 zip codes, which I would assume these must be Miami zip codes for the city of Miami. Missing code goes here. Oh, we're missing something. Read the output, try to predict it. There's a missing line of code for finding the length of the list. Using the course Python API, look up the missing code. It's a built-in function. All right, so we need to print zip list and print num items in list. So if we click on the Python API again, and we want to know how to do the length of a list, it's a built-in function. Append item, binary number, character, ASCII value, float, hex number, input, integer, length of something. The len function returns the number of items found in the perimeter something, the variable. So it returns an integer. So we use that. Like here's a list, Florida, California, Florida's. And if we want to know the number, we call it num characters. You just use the length. Oh, here's the one that uses the list of states right there, list of states. LEN, and then put parentheses the name of what you want to know the length of. So for here, since we want this to be called num items in list, copy, let's put that right here, equals LEN, parentheses, zip list, with the L capitalized. So that should do it right there. Let's run a program and see. Oh, there it is. The length is 4. So it printed the list, which is those zip codes. It says, wait a minute, that's not quite the output we're looking for. I think it is. There's a missing line of code for finding the length of the list. Okay, I don't know what it's looking for. Because we found the length, it's 4, it printed it. I don't know why it says that's not quite the output we're looking for. I don't know. You see anything that looks weird? I mean, it prints out 4, which is the length of the list. So, yeah, I don't know what it wants. If I run again, will it tell us? Oh, look, I just hit run again, and now it says, hey, nice work. That's right. I don't know why it thought it was wrong the first time. We didn't change a thing. Okay, slide 2. Number systems, define main, assign a decimal number to y, so y equals 7. That's not a decimal number. So let's see, read the code, try to predict the output. There's a missing line of code to convert y to a binary number on line 10. So print the decimal value is, although that's an integer, but we didn't even say it was an integer, but convert y to a binary number. We got to put that line code there, and the binary value is. So if we go back to our API, we saw binary up here. There it is. The bin function converts an integer decimal number to a binary number. So all we do is put the bin with the number that we want to convert, which in this case it's stored in desc number, in parentheses. All right, so let's say they're calling it B, apparently is the name of the variable they're saving that. Okay, so B equals binary of Y, because Y is where they stored the decimal number. Let's run that. Decimal value 7, the binary value is 0B111. Remember, the 0 in front of it tells us that this is a binary number, that 0 is not part of the number really. The binary number is 111. So let's see, the binary function converts an integer decimal to a binary number. The output shows 0B111 is the binary number. The 0B lets you know this is a binary number. The 111 is the number 7 in binary. Change the value of y to any integer. All right, let's see about 17. Now to 10001. Yeah. Let's do 317. 100111101. Yeah. So binary number using their little API. All right, number systems, define main, assign a decimal number to M. So M is 156, and it prints the decimal value is this. Now it looks like we have a missing line of code to convert it to a hexadecimal from line 10. So we got to convert M to a hexadecimal and call it H. So it's going to be H equals something. Character, float, hex. There it is. The hex function converts an integer decimal to a hexadecimal number. Works just like binary. We just use hex instead of bin. Hex, and is it Y? Oh, it's M this time. The hex of M. I'll give you that. And then let's see. We've already got converting a binary number to a decimal. Enter the number base H16. Let's run this. The decimal value is 156. The hexadecimal number is 9C. And then converting it back using the command right down here, integer. of whatever our hexadecimal number is. And the base, it's base 16, hexadecimal is base 16. It puts it back. So the hex function converts a decimal number to a hexadecimal number, which is base 16. The decimal value 156 is equivalent to 9C. The output shows 0x, saying, hey, this is a hexadecimal number. 2 new letters could be used as part of numbers. Well, us math nerds people would know that, but a lot of other folks wouldn't. All right. Did you know the Internet of Things, IoT, it's an abbreviation used. Nowadays, if a device has an on-off switch, it usually can be connected to the internet and other devices too. This interconnectivity of everyday devices is called the Internet of Things, and it's powered by APIs with devices like thermostats, security systems, TVs, and more communicating with each other and connected to a vast amount of data. Nearly anything is possible. All these devices become more and more popular. Programmers will be needed to write code to save energy, increase efficiency, and deter hackers. Yeah, I can sit in my living room chair and I can turn on and off the Christmas tree, the garland that's hanging around the room. I can adjust the temperature in the thermostat. I can turn on and off the television. I have another Christmas tree that's in the front of the house in the window. I can turn that on and off. There's all kinds of crazy stuff you can do sitting in your chair because of the Internet of Things. Everything's connected to the internet these days. Many other things they can turn on and off as well. To IDE and beyond. So real talk. One day you're going to finish this course, hopefully by May. When you do, you'll also wave goodbye to the handy in-course idle, because we got this idle that we use for our programming. So then what? What do programmers in the real world use? They don't generally have idle like this. You've got questions, we got answers. If you wish to continue programming after this course, yay, you'll need to use an IDE, which is Integrated Development Environment. That's what our idle is. Integrated development. It's built in. It's a coding tool that's used to write, test, and debug programs. Or the Python idle to write, test, and debug. There are lots of options out there. Many include open source IDEs. It's like freely available software, source code, right, for distribution modification. People have written it, but they haven't copyrighted it. They put it out there for other people to use. There's all sorts of functionality in those. So how would you choose an IDE to use if you want to continue programming when you don't have this idle here in Buzz anymore? Let's start looking at the possibilities. Bare minimum. So if you're a no frills type of person, just want to edit some text, you might enjoy writing code with your computer's text editor. To do this, simply write code and save it as a .py file. So you can just do that in Word, but save it as a .py file, or just a notebook. Open up Notebook or something. You won't be able to run the code in a text editor, but you could type it and save it as a .py file. You'd have to use a Python interpreter to actually run it. But that's just to write it, you can do that. Just the basics. If you want to get straight to coding, Python's idle is a good choice, and it's provided right here with Python. It functions very similarly to the in-course idle, but Python itself has an idle. But when you run your code, it'll open a new window. It's called a shell. So you can go out there and find the Python website, and it has an idle built in there. Or if you want to get the basics and beyond, there's quite a few free open source IDEs that provide many different levels of functionality when it comes to programming, include auto completion, tooltips, and highlighting. So there's a lot out there. IDEs for professionals. So let's talk about the real world for a moment. Nearly every industry has tools designed for expert users. For example, anyone can use an iPhone to record a song, but an expert would head straight to a studio that has all those state-of-the-art tools and a lot more control, right? A first-time scriptwriter might just write something on Google Docs, while a seasoned scriptwriter would use Final Draft, which is an industry standard software out there made for writing scripts. In program, there's also the options for writing and developing code. Some tools are better for small jobs, some are ideal for big jobs. So there are industrial strength IDEs out there. Professional programmers prefer to use IDEs to develop professional programs. And it's easy to see why. IDEs were created specifically to write and execute programs in one place, like our idle. You could write it and run it all in one place. Make it incredibly efficient. Some even support multiple programming languages. So you can find some IDEs that you can choose what language you're programming in. Doesn't have to just be in Python. So don't be afraid to experiment with IDEs. They're not one size fits all, depending on what type of program you're developing. So consider these factors. Cost, is it free or do you have to pay for certain features? Like a lot of websites, right? Ease of use, does it include time-saving features like syntax highlighting, auto indentation, so we hit the enter, it automatically indents the next line the same, tabbed viewing, customization, does it allow you to add on necessary features or personalize the look and feel? So let's look at some of the industrial strength IDEs that professionals use. So PyCharm is one of them you can look up. Programmers who work with data science prefer PyCharm because it has some integrated scientific tools like NumPy. So PyCharm also offers code completion, error checking, and easy navigation. That's nice. Think about that. Error checking built into some of these IDEs will alert you. Like, hey, you didn't put this parentheses on the end or something. And there's a little picture of it. PyCharm projects. Looks like you got like a folder system over here. It looks like you're writing code here, and it has an output at the bottom. Tip of the day, kind of interesting looking. We go here to PyDev, PyDeveloper, basically. PyDev is an open source plugin that provides a Python IDE within the Eclipse IDE. So apparently Eclipse is a Java IDE. And when you're using that, you can actually get PyDev and run some Python code inside your Java code, apparently. You can work with two languages in one IDE by plugging in the Python API into the Java. So that's interesting. So import PyTest as unused import, import unresolved import. So it's like, I don't know a lot about programming with this. Haven't tried this Java IDE, but you can bring in PyTest inside your Java code. There's Spider, spelled with a Y. This open source IDE is free, includes many popular tools for scientific programming like NumPy and SciPy. SciPy built in, NumPy can be built in. It also features auto completion, which I guess if you've got some code, it'll maybe fill in all the parentheses and everything for you to complete the line. Tooltips, syntax highlighting. So, looks like you got a lot of windows that you'd be playing with there. But so variable explorer, E and pi, which are float numbers. E is 2.7182818. There's pi 3.14159, etc. Here's your console down here, object inspector. Your code's up here. Wow, all right. Interesting looking IDE there. So, all right, let's look at, we do have an interesting assignment this week. There's the template, but I have put a template for you in. It's not a program per se this week. We're going to do some research this week to find out more about these IDEs. So if we look at the template, here's what our assignment is. IDE research. So you won't know what IDE is right for you without a little research. So for this assignment, you need to research 2 different Python compatible IDEs using Python suggested list IDEs. So that you can click here, and it does have Python, WikiPython, which has a list of IDEs that you can find here. IDEs with instruction-based code completion. So here's the whole list of IDEs that's available out there. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Some of these you may not be able to see. Here's one that's online. Like you won't be able to use a Windows one with your Chromebook. If you want to explore it with a different computer, feel free. But a lot of these you got to have Linux or Windows or a Mac system to find them. But we're looking for some that are more online because it says search online for a browser-based Python IDE if you're using a device that you're unable to install programs on. With your Chromebooks, you can't install anything on. So after you've done some research, complete the following chart. Put the name of the two that you're comparing. See if you can find out what their cost, their ease of use. See what you can find out about how easy they are. Do they highlight syntax for you? Do they auto indent? Have you? If you can't find the information but could not find or something, just you might not be finding them. Do they require line numbering? A lot of programs you got to say this is line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3, or because basic, what I learned on, you had to put the line number. We used to number it 10, 20, 30, 40 because if you needed to add some code in, if you put it 1, 2, 3, you'd have to renumber everything after that. You didn't leave any room. But you can number 10, 20, 30, where I can go back and add a line 12, 13, and 14 in there between 10 and 20. The ability to customize and look, the field editor, anything else you notice about the IDE. So compare two of them. Do some research. And then see if you can take it for a spin. Part 2. Try writing and running a simple Hello World program. If you can find one that runs online, just do a little simple print statement to see how it works. And then answer, here's our reflection questions. Why'd you choose the one you did to try to play with? What was it easy? Well, you won't be able to install it, but online is easy to use. Could you write a little simple Hello World program? What are some of the features you liked about it? What is something you didn't like about it? So just a chance to go out there and see what we can find outside of our common idle that we're so used to, because everything's nice in our course and it just brings this idle right in there for us to use. But yeah, if you're wanting to do some programming and we don't have the course running anymore, what do? This is a chance to go out there and just see what's out there, see what you can find. So have some fun with that. Like I say, if you can't find some information, just put could not find. I'm not really concerned about you being able to find every little thing because I don't know. On a Chromebook, you are kind of limited in a lot of stuff you can explore and play with. So I don't want you to feel a lot of pressure. It's like, oh no, I can't find this. What am I going to do? That's all right. Just put you couldn't find it. I know we are limited with Chromebooks and what we're able to explore sometimes. So. All right, fellas. Any questions? They're pretty much straightforward. We're kind of branching out from programming this week to just explore a little bit about programming out in the world, what that's like. So we're not really learning new code this week. We're learning to go out and find places we can use what we know. So, all right, fellas. Well, have a great week. Like I said, I'll have a video for next week. And if you got any questions, you can always email me. But we'll see you later. Have a great week. See you in algebra.